Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm just going to give it 2 minutes, just waiting for some other guys to join, and we will start the webinar at 5 minutes past 11. Yeah, thank you. So I'm thinking, while we're waiting, this might be a Q&A assistance that we need after the chat. We've got a Potjie competition next weekend. So for those Potjie buffs that have attended the webinar, if you guys could please send through your recipes from Granny, Grandpa, we have to win. It is a big charity event, so we would appreciate any and all assistance. I know there's sometimes 3 sprinkles of sugar and 2 stones in the clockwise direction, and that does the job.
A little bit of red wine or black label that they're adding.
I'm looking for
changing the taste and make it actually win a pot. But
yes, so guys, please, if you could share any and all Potjie recipes, we would greatly appreciate it, and we promise not to butcher them badly. Let's get started. We are at 5 past. Good morning, everybody. Thank you again for joining us. This is our 7th iteration of our InFocus webinar series, and today's discussion will be on infrastructure from concept to construction and future implementation. I have been joined by 2 of my colleagues. I've got Wynand and Thabang here. I will let them introduce themselves shortly. I just want to go over some housekeeping rules, just so everyone is on the same page. Unfortunately, we don't have audio from those of you that have joined us, but we do have a Q&A section. So we ask you, please, if there are any questions, please feel free to bring them up. I will stop the presentation and go through the questions, and either myself, Wynand, or Thabang would be able to answer it. There we go. With all things technology, unfortunately, we do have issues. We've got our amazing support team in the background saying our audio wasn't great. Are you guys all comfortable? Are there any issues? If you guys do have problems with audio, please let us know, and we will just see if we can get it fixed during the presentation. To save on time, I'll hand over to my colleagues. I'll let them introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about them and their history, and I will give it over to you to start the presentation.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. My name is Wynand Steenkamp, and I'm representing the civil and structural port here at Modena ASN Infrastructure. I've been working in the industry for about just over 10 years, and especially in the normal developments, like your actual infrastructure, roads, pipe networks, etc. And with regards to Autodesk softwares, we're going about 5 years now, and I will be leading most of the technical discussions in today's session. Handing over to Mr. Thabang.
Hi, everyone. The name is Thabang Ramatsosa, Design Technology Specialist at Modena. I have a multidisciplinary background, so I'm part of the ArcID pod and also MEP. And yeah, I'll be in support of my colleagues today.
Wonderful.
Looking forward to it.
One thing I did forget on the housekeeping, we do have a QR code. The QR code, once scanned, does take you through to a form to complete. It just gives us a bit of feedback on how today's session went. The sound's not great, or we couldn't see this, we couldn't hear that. It just allows us to better our delivery on these webinars going forward. So at some point during the presentation today, Wynand will have that QR code open. I will remind you again to scan it. But please, it is very important. It just allows us to constantly better our delivery with our webinars. Wynand, if you could take it away.
All right. So just a quick on the contents that we are going to discuss in the session today. We're going to look at what is infrastructure, the role Autodesk is playing in infrastructure, the life cycle of a infrastructure project, and then we're going to run through some of those cycles a bit more in depth. And then a little bit closer to the end, we will look at the future maintenance and monitoring, as well as some smart designs to operation with regards to our projects.
Wonderful.
So first things first, what is infrastructure? We normally think, well, what would infrastructure be?
A bridge, a
Yeah.
road.
The term
Things.
is very broad. It touches everything. It's basically these days the backbone of what connects us as people.
Okay.
If you think of, clean water access, if you open a tap, the water comes out. Where does it come from?
Comes from the tap.
I'd say reservoir, pipe,
So-
then tap.
Yes, so that is water infrastructure network that is transporting the water to
Sure.
our houses.
Yeah.
And so, we don't have to live close to rivers anymore. It's not necessary. Infrastructure allows reliable transport, safe wastewater disposal, get the clean water back to us. It's not just that, infrastructure covers the whole, like if you think power lines, it's power grids, it's infrastructure.
It's everything.
The sidewalk that you walk on, it's infrastructure. So it's a very broad term. And since we see, well, we at Modena, we can see where the industry is leading. So we have aligned it according to the civil infrastructure direction that it's currently going.
Okay.
All right. So what is Autodesk's role in infrastructure? Autodesk's role in infrastructure is they created purpose-built tools tailored for design and analysis of infrastructural systems. And together they compiled an AEC collection for the architectural, engineering, and construction collection of softwares.
Okay.
Right? And in that AEC collection, we have InfoWorks, where we can generate some concept design, do some pre-develop analysis, and some detailed visualization in our designs. All right. Then there's Civil 3D and vehicle tracking that's also included in the AEC collection. And it allows us to focus more on the detailed designs, accurate pipe network for design and analysis purposes. And then we can use, for example, vehicle tracking, part of Civil 3D, to do some road safety checks, some geometry tests, will the truck go around the corner? Is the side distance good enough? That sort of stuff. Then we have Rivet and Advanced Steel for our structural and MEP modeling, as well as for some accurate visualization to the structural elements. That's touching a bit more based on what Mr. Thabang here can do. As well as one of our other colleagues, he couldn't have made it today. But then we also have robust structural analysis. It's an advanced structural analysis tool that allows us to perform structural analysis on our structural systems, whether it's bridges, retaining walls, dam walls. I've even seen some guys in our office assisting clients on analyzing water towers with robust structural analysis. So it's really a very, very, very powerful tool to use. And it is part of the AEC collection. If you have an AEC collection, you have access to it.
So talking about these products, there's no question that's come up, but I know it is a question that everyone asks. So we are in South Africa. We have our own standards, we have our own group sets, we have our own templates that we need to work from. So with Autodesk being an American-based company, are there South African standards, are there South African codes embedded in the software to make it a lot easier for the guys locally to use it on South African-based projects?
So I would say the tools and the products, it's sort of like the digital infrastructure. So the South African standards, things like SANS 10400, etc., we need to embed when using these tools.
Okay.
Right. So the international standard is obviously ISO 19650, and we are now adopting international standards as well. So the tools are tools, but it's still the engineers and the architects that still has to embed the standards within the software.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, infrastructure is sort of like the physical component, but Autodesk has created a digital infrastructure for us to execute on the physical infrastructure.
Brilliant. All right, thank you.
So on that as well, there is some additional softwares that you can, like add-ins, bring it part of the Autodesk softwares, like the Devotech IDAS, like some stuff in Revit that you can add for MEP, for architectural, that allows the sum of the SANS standards and codes. I know, for example, Civil 3D, Autodesk brought out a South African content package
Okay.
not too long ago. Users can go and download it. If they don't know, you can also always ask us the question. And
But what does that package include? Is that road signs for South Africa? Is it road markings?
I'm not sure about road signs, Civil 3D, with regards to road markings. You will have to do that manually.
Okay.
But with regards to, since we all know roads everywhere is being built the same, so it's just layer works.
Okay.
But with regards to pipe network creation, standard pipes, manuals, that sort of stuff, the actual structures, we can get that in the South African content packages.
Wonderful.
On the
Right.
MEP side of things, manufacturers have actually started developing their own content that is South African based content. So there's a plugin called, like Wynand mentioned, you can have plugins. So there's a plugin called MEP content that specifically deals with manufacturer specific MEP content for the South African context.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And then just something else that I want to add. If you were to think of the structural analysis standards that we have, that SABS wrote back in the days, they got some of the information from the British codes.
Yes.
And Canadian, huh?
Yes.
Yes. And those codes is embedded into the Autodesk softwares.
Wonderful.
For example, inside robot structural analysis softwares, they do have the British, Canadian, and some other country standards embedded in those softwares.
Wonderful.
Right. Just to continue, we also have Recap Pro. Now, just to discuss about this is we normally, well, I normally tell the clients, from a civil engineering perspective, is we are a little bit stuck in like the older days. Normal drawings that consist of lines, and not everybody understands what those lines mean.
Especially
Okay.
the clients.
Yeah.
Especially the clients, especially the guys, the business guys, the actual developers. What is a contour line? What is a edge of travelway line? What is the crown point? When you
don't
see that
know.
in a model. So not the one you put in. So with regards to that, if we were to do as-built information with the whole digital transformation that we here at Modena are pushing, as you guys know, Recap Pro allows us to literally go and scan information and bring it into the design softwares. Bring it into the digital
terrestrial 3D laser scanner.
Yes.
Okay.
Indeed. And it even allows us to do that on infrastructural projects. We can, for example, I want to discuss this a bit later in what are we looking into the future in the infrastructural point.
We'll leave it for later. Then.
But yeah, we'll leave it for that.
Wonderful.
With regards to as-built, etc.
Yeah.
Okay, and then last one, Navisworks and documentation, where we can do some model coordination, clash detection, construction sequence, where we can literally showcase or actually show our clients, stakeholders, if we were to build the structural element, what's the structural what's the construction sequence going to be?
Yes.
Where do we start? And we can literally manipulate that to see, okay, maybe the staircases can be built later, or this columns can be built later. The foundations needs to happen first.
Yes.
So that we can plan accordingly in our construction plans to not get to a point where we get stuck and to decide, okay, what's next? What do we have to do next? And it also assists us in not delaying the project. Right. Then next on our list is the infrastructural life cycle of a project. Now, each and every project needs a starting point. And where is the starting point? It's normally in our heads. We have an idea, and then there's an end point where we hand it over to the client, and then they start implementing, operating, etc. So for the life cycle of the projects, like I said, we have to start somewhere. It's a concept design. We have the idea. We have to put it on paper. We need to generate that model in order to give our clients what they think of.
Yeah.
You know? And as we drive the digital transformation, might not just be a PDF. Then, oh my goodness, let's do that. There we go. Then we can start by performing some site analysis, where we can literally go to site, investigate, check some of the challenges that arises before we actually start with our detailed design. Some stuff that we need to keep in mind that might happen on site. Okay. After that, we can start with our detailed design, where we actually start, fine tuning a little bit here, a little bit there, changing those curves, adding some reinforcement, that sort of stuff, class detections, changing the elevations of your dogs, that sort of stuff. Right. Then collaboration, meaning how do we present this to our clients and stakeholders, people in the company,
and how do we work together as a team?
Indeed. And then we have the construction and handover phase, where the actual physical construction of the project will happen. And then there is also at the end, operation, maintenance, and monitoring. And you might think, where does Autodesk fill in the space? It actually touches each and every one of these phases. We might not think of it. You guys might not think of it, but it does. Right. Then let us look into the first one. What is a concept design? It's this actual starting point. It's that initial idea. It's where we shape the ideas. It's where we get different scenarios that we can explore, right? And it allows for some early decision making for the possible and practical issues, well, not issues, to fine tune that design in the beginning already, so that we don't, or when we present this to a client, we don't present them with something that they, might laugh at us, but rather think, this guy or this company that they are doing, this is what I want. Right. Then it allows engineers and planners during the concept design, it allows engineers and planners to evaluate feasibility, investigate construction constraints, terrain challenges, and then there's also to target the applicable standards in the design phases early enough so that we can fine tune it before we actually get to a point where we have done a detailed design, and you go to the client and they say, no, we have to change this. And then you have to go through all of those headaches again.
Well, talking about the client, we've got a question that's just come up. And it's from Anonymous. And the question is, won't you start with the client's brief before we go into the concept stage?
Yes. And it will allow you to find out also what the client wants.
Yes.
To have that discussion with the client, to understand what they have in their mind. And if you know what they want, if what is going on in their mind about the project, then definitely I agree with that.
I'm a client. Modena, I want a smart city development in a Lens area. The reason why I want a smart city development in Lens area. You now take the idea that's in my head and you conceptualize it into a draft to say, well, this is what your smart city looks like, but is it feasible? Then we go from the concept stage through to the feasibility stage. Is
Yeah,
that correct?
yeah.
Okay.
So part of concept is we can already start looking at those feasibility studies. That allows us to make some of those initial changes quicker and easier before we get to the actual in-depth, detailed design and analysis of the projects.
Okay. But yes, to answer your question, Anonymous, we always have to start with the client brief.
Yes. So the brief is more to outline the outcomes of the concept to the feasibility stage, right? So it's like we can come up with a concept, but what is the outcomes? So the brief is what gives you those outcomes to say we need 88 buildings that do this, we need roads, we need et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then the concept, then feasibility on. Just
Indeed.
add on to what you guys
Indeed. All right. Then some from ideas to intelligent models, concept is critical for road infrastructure projects. Now, I want to focus a bit more on roads because we've seen here at Modena, the industry is a bit more leading towards road upgrade projects. Sunrail is at the moment giving out some tenders to upgrade our national highways, some other rural roads. For example, I've dealt with clients the past year that each and every one of them have a different section of the N1 that they're busy redesigning, from the Western Cape all the way to, I think, Polokwane, and maybe even higher as well, where they change the N1 from a single going down N1 South, N1 North to a dual road, complete upgrade, like basically a new.
Well, I see they're busy upgrading N1, N3 from Sandton to the airport. I know there's a stretch, I think before London, just after London, where they are busy upgrading both north and south.
And it's not just the N3, the N1, the R21, as we know it, has also been under construction for the past 2 years. The N1 section here between Johannesburg and Pretoria, more closer to Pretoria side, is currently, every now and then when we drive over there, you'll see that there's a new section of new asphalt that they have overlaid. Mostly they do that over weekends. But concept design is critical because in roads, it allows us to see the initial geometry elevations, challenges that we are going to be, have to overcome. Then we also have to investigate the best possible route. If you were to think of a mountain pass, what's the best possible route? What's going to be the most feasible? What's going to be the easiest to build, etc.? Where's the strongest route? We don't want to build a road on, a soil type that is flexible, but more rigid, for example. Okay, then we also need to look into the design speeds. What type of road are we building? Side distances, where are we going to cut? Where are we going to fill? That sort of stuff. So concept design in roads is very critical. We want to implement design standards already because the design standards will already push us into what's the best possible route, what's the best safety factors. We also have to do the feasibility and environmental studies, investigate some loading scenarios, because the N1 carries larger trucks, where some of our residential roads is not designed to do that.
Yeah, there's a limit to that. Just I want to pause you there. We've got another question from Anonymous again. And the question is, how do I align the client's scope / needs to the right software I need? I think it's a great question.
It is a great question. So we would have a session with the client, and Thabang can, I think, back me as well, is we will have a session with the clients, discuss what do they want to do, what's the outcomes they want to see and find, and then we can make recommendations from there. What's the best software to use, add in packages, regards to pricing, all of those stuff.
But it makes life easier when we have access to the collection, because in the collection we've got the AutoCAD, we've got the Revits, we've got the structural analysis software, we've got Navisworks for 4 and 5D simulation, we've got vehicle tracking, we have InfraWorks, we've got Docs for collaboration. So that AEC collection is a one-stop shop for, I would say, 99% of the requirements needed.
Indeed.
So yeah, we can always unpack that at a later stage, but I'm just wanting to make a note, the collection has got everything that a design project manager
You name
company
it.
requires,
You
you
name
know,
it.
from civil, structural, MEP,
All the
mechanical.
disciplines.
You name it.
Yeah.
You name it.
Brilliant. I hope that helps, Anonymous.
All right, and then at the end, we want to create a model to collaborate with our clients and stakeholders so that we can get the approval. Like I've mentioned, you know, it's easy to look at a building plan and see, okay, that's a room.
Yes.
Mm.
But if you look at a road project, you will see contour lines and straight lines, and what is that? You understand? Okay. So up next is we want to represent InfraWorks for the concept design. Now, where does it fit in? InfraWorks basically bridges the gap between the initial idea and detailed design
Okay.
very easily. And you'll see now shortly why I mean that. Okay. It empowers the user to rapidly develop and evaluate infrastructure concepts in a real world context. Now, InfraWorks has a lot of key capabilities.
Yeah.
And as we discussed it, it allows for that concept design, that pretty picture that it can paint for us, that we can represent
To the
and
client.
do some pre-development analysis, get everyone's approval, etc.
I think there's a lot of questions. Sorry, just want to go through them. So we've got question again from Anonymous. The question is, looking at this kind of collaboration, would ACC be the right environment for this? Anonymous just removed that question. I think maybe they're retyping. We'll get back to it when it comes back on again. We have got a question from Mr. Erasmus. Quibus says, looking at this kind of collaboration, okay, so it just went from Anonymous to Quibus. Who would typically then control the main model, and what would you do? What would you do in InfoWorks or 3D or Navisworks? And then we've got a question from Julian saying, how can InfoWorks be used to quickly model a proposed road alignment in pipe network in a real world context so that I can visualize feasibility before detailed design begins?
So we'll get to the second one.
Yeah.
Let's answer the first one.
Okay.
So the first one, yes. The first thing you would need on any kind of project actually is a common data environment.
Yes.
So ACC is actually the perfect solution for a common data environment. Why? Because it's an Autodesk product and
Yeah.
all the Autodesk products tie into it. We're talking file formats, etc., etc.
So just to jump in. So
Yeah.
before we go too into depth,
Mm.
that we are going to touch base on that.
Okay, so the
in
questions
this
will be
section.
answered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
just a little bit later, and then we can
Okay.
elaborate a bit more.
100%.
Perfect.
What was the other question?
Quibus, so we will answer your question. It is in the presentation. And the second question is from Julian. How can InfraWorks be used to quickly model a proposed road alignment and pipe network in a real world context so I can visualize feasibility before detailed design begins?
So I would say it depends on whether it's a new type of
Is
road?
it green or brown? Greensfield, Brownsfield project.
Yeah. So is it new or is it upgrade?
Okay.
Okay, and pipe networks is a bit more tricky in InfraWorks because all the countries have their own standards, their own materials that they use.
Mm.
So with regards to pipe network creation in InfraWorks, everything is underground, so you might not see anything.
True.
All right, but at the end, with regards to roads, it literally allows you to see existing roads,
Okay.
remodel on it, make the changes, and very easily, like even easier than Civil 3D normally does it. Less steps, more quicker, and visually you'll be able to see as well what you are designing.
Okay, so InfraWorks basically allows me to take a Google Earth map of the infrastructure and change it.
Yes.
That's crazy.
So we will focus on that now.
Okay, all right.
So we have the concept design. Then there's context modeling, like we mentioned. You know, you will get in-depth answers already from your concept design.
Okay.
That you can already start fine-tuning your design and before you actually get to the detailed design section.
Okay.
Right. Then we also have the preliminary analysis section where we can already start looking at what the stormwater can do and some initial structural analysis sections that we can perform on our bridges or tunnels, for example.
Okay.
Okay. Then there's the collaboration and proposal development, the question that we just had previously. We will focus on that section.
Yeah, from Quibus.
And then integration with Civil 3D and Revit is made very easy inside InFocus,
Okay.
from InFocus. Right. So let's jump into depth with regards to InFocus for concept design. Now, this is where we just discussed. It basically takes something similar to a Google Maps image and it aligns it with a DEM digital elevation model that is generated from GIS data that is currently available from places like the South African Geoportal, that sort of stuff. NASA, for example, has some elevation models that Autodesk is using to generate those 3D elements.
And that's included with the subscription.
That's included with the subscription. And so what it does is InFocus has a model builder where you can go anywhere in the world and grab a section literally of a surface area and start modeling from it. It automatically picks up existing road infrastructure, some building outlines, but it only assigns its own styles to it. So it's not the actual building that you're seeing. It assigns the Bing Maps aerial imagery, and then it also represents water areas. So if there's, for example, a dam or a river, it will actually, show there's water running there.
Brilliant.
So if you were to think, 200 square kilometers, is it big? Is it not big?
It's pretty big.
If you were to take the N1 from Cape Town and only a section that's 100 meters wide, you will be able to go 2,000 kilometers. So that's the whole N1 from Cape Town all the way to the border post before you go into Zimbabwe.
Nice.
So it's quite big.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to keep that in perspective.
Yeah.
So with regards to the guys who's doing all, the mall layouts, the InFocus can definitely benefit you from it. And it allows you for that bridge parkings, integration with Revit and Civil 3D. You can actually bring your structural elements in here, etc. We'll get to that. Then the model builder a model builder generated model will literally allow you to start adding additional stuff. For example, your additional roads, for the road widenings, for your Revit buildings that you can place in. You can go and add city furniture if you want to build that smart city where you add robots.
So I can take my smart city from here in the cloud, wherever it is, throw it into InfraWorks and overlay it onto existing infrastructure.
Yes, you can do that.
That's very cool.
You can do that.
Okay.
And it also allows for initial platform creation that our building is going to stand on. And then there's also where we get to the more in-depth structural elements, like the bridges, the tunnels, that sort of stuff. Okay, so pre-development site analysis is the second section. It allows us to look into the project for that viability, feasibility, possibility, practicality. Is it possible or not? What am I planning? The roads. We can even do traffic analysis where I can literally go in depth and set up a traffic light sequence and then simulate what the traffic will look like and then actually see, okay, do I have to make my road wider or not?
Where was that project where they built a bridge from both sides of the opening? And when the bridge met in the middle, it wasn't aligned. It was off by a lot. Obviously, they never used.
I can't remember.
They never used.
International project.
It's an international project.
Yeah.
They would not have used tools like this because tools like this would show
Avoided
them
that
the issue in a
before it
virtual
happened.
space
Yeah.
before the guys actually went to site.
Yes.
Indeed.
Okay, all right.
Indeed. And that's why we
That's
want to
actually-
drive the digital transformation.
Yes. That's actually part of coordination, right? There's something we call is clash detection.
Okay.
That's a big clash.
How do you unbuild a bridge?
Happened in Cape Town as well. Something locally where in Cape Town City there's a bridge that just ends
Stops.
up in the middle of
It just-
nowhere.
They built it and it just stops.
Yeah, it just stops. And clashes costs millions.
Yeah.
If you think the software is expensive,
Okay.
try a clash.
No, so I just wanted to visualize it and see, you
Yeah.
know, what things have happened
Yeah.
locally that could have potentially been avoided.
Yes, and that's one of them. The
Okay.
Cape Town example, there is a bridge that just ends up in the middle of nowhere and it's just floating. Yep. So
Taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
wasted. Yeah.
Okay, and then some pre-development analysis that InFocus can do. It can do that transportation analysis where we can simulate the transportation flow, like I
Okay.
just mentioned, you know, where you can set up a complete a traffic light type of scenario. Will the traffic flow easily, quickly, that sort of stuff.
Does
Do
it give
some-
you recommendations? So say I've got a N1 route from here to there, and the traffic flow is just a bit too much. Does the software give you an idea to maybe put in a dual lane carriageway, or will you visually just see that there's a massive build?
it visually represents to you. I don't have an example now, but it adds like a red section in there, literally
Okay.
showing you that traffic is piling up.
So
over here.
like Google Maps or Waze, it will
Yeah,
show you that
yeah,
there's okay.
Indeed, but just in a 3D workspace.
Okay, brilliant.
Right. Then there's some preliminary structural analysis, like I've mentioned, some drainage analysis where we can already start looking into the watersheds, that catchment areas, to pinpoint the lower sections, to know where we should insert culverts underneath the roads, that sort of stuff. And then visual contextual analysis. That's the whole section where we can look at, you know, what's the best possible route for a mountain pass, for that N1 section that we're upgrading,
Okay.
cut and fill conditions, etc.
Brilliant.
Right. So just a bit more in depth. The transportation analysis also allows us that to optimize road corridors and corridor profiles. This is now already where you can perform this inside your concept design before you actually start showing this to the client. And it literally, you can even start fine-tuning it in your concept design.
Fantastic.
So there's the whole traffic and mobility, the site distance evaluation, very important for road constructions. And then to identify problematic elevations, that's that best possible route, like I've mentioned. And then structural, it allows for that preliminary line girder and refined bridge analysis. Now, this is not a robot structural analysis type of software. So I would still recommend to use that, and it is part of the AEC collection. So
Sure.
why not use tools that is more accurate with regards to design standards, etc.
We have
So
got
we
some
have
questions. We've got two questions. One's from Jason. Jason saying, can external as-built data be loaded into InfraWorks to allow checks during feasibility? And the second question is gone. Alrighty. So can we answer Jason's question, or is that something that's going to be coming up in the presentation?
Can external as-built data be loaded into InfraWorks?
To check, wait, so can external as-built data be loaded into InfraWorks to
Yes.
allow for checks during the feasibility study?
Yes, it can.
Okay.
It can. Since it automatically, like I said in the beginning, Model Builder, you go literally anywhere. If the road was built there, it automatically identifies that the road is built there. All right, it's not using the same assembly that that road normally was built on, if we were
Yes.
to think of civil 3D perspectives. But it literally shows that there's a road there. Now, if you were to say, okay, I want to widen this road, maybe change the sidewalks, you have free access to go and do that inside InfraWorks directly.
So Jason, yes. Yes, it can.
In short.
Then back to structures. InfraWorks allows you for that, you know, placement of the geolocation points of your structures,
Okay.
meaning like bridges. I'm not talking about buildings now, I'm talking about, you know, road structures. And it also allows then to prep the model for in-depth structural analysis and modeling. Now you can very easily create a bridge inside InfraWorks, then export that into Revit and go and do the fine-tune inside Revit of the model, and then the analysis inside robot structural analysis.
Fantastic.
So I'll show you a bit about that later as well. And then the drainage that allows us to automatically generate watersheds in just a few, few clicks. It already picks up the design roads inside InFocus, and then it will literally actually show you the points where the water is going to dam up, where all the water is going to come to a specific point, and then we know exactly this is where we need to add the culverts. And then there's the preliminary pipe network analysis and auto editing tools. Like I said, they are a little bit, InFocus is a bit limited with regards to pipe network creation, but you can also simulate some rainfall scenarios and identify flooding and overland flow paths. All right. Sorry, get this thing running again. And then there's the visual, like I said, what's the best possible route, some terrain challenges.
So on that photo, that's in InFocus. I've got a gorge that I need to get a truck from A to B.
Yes,
There's nothing existing. I can use InFocus to build a bridge, simulate traffic across the bridge, take that very bridge into Revit, fine-tune the bridge in Revit, push it into Robot to make sure it won't fall,
indeed.
go through the process, appoint a contractor, and in 12 months I've got a working bridge. That's insane.
Yeah.
Basically, exactly like you've mentioned
So
it.
that's called a workflow.
No, it's for me, it's how did guys do anything in the past?
Enjoy.
And instead of 12 months, it take them 12 years.
12 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And then there's some additional connectors that you can add, like the ArcGIS connector that can show us where's the wetlands, the flood zones, some zoning regulations, etc.
Okay.
And then it's a very fancy tool to use. Then there's the additional external data sources, like I said, that South Africa's geo portal that you can very easily go and grab some surface information in order for you to go and show your or start your a bit more finer, in-depth, detailed designs. Right. Some detailed design and analysis section. This is where we move away a little bit from InFocus, where we can literally take the InFocus information into software like Civil 3D and Revit. I'm going to talk a bit more about Civil 3D first. InFocus planning roads basically only takes over the center alignments.
Okay.
But the component roads is seen in Civil 3D as actual corridors. It automatically assigns the assembly for it, as well as generate the vertical alignment for that road. So it knows exactly already from InFocus what the elevations for cut and fill conditions to target. So all you have to do is just look into that, change some curves here and there, change the assembly a bit, reassign it, and it's going to be, much more easier than actually starting at Civil 3D
And a lot
from
quicker.
scratch. A lot quicker as well. Right, and at the end of the day, you can add some additional analysis tools that we will also be focusing on in a few seconds. We normally recommend to our clients, the DevTech IDAS for integrated design and analysis suite package for those people who is designing the civil infrastructure.
Okay.
A bit more in depth, though that road engineers, the water engineers, those guys, specifically for the fact that they have taken Civil 3D and implemented workflows that makes it quicker for you in order to perform all the designs. Where you can literally start, if you have a polyline, it can literally generate horizontal alignment, vertical alignment, profile views, sample lines.
Is this the DevTech IDAS?
The photo on the right hand side, yeah, that's
Okay.
the corridor wizard.
Yeah.
Where it literally from a polyline that you can draw in very easily manually, horizontal alignment, vertical alignment, or you also need to create the assembly, but other than that, it generates everything else for you.
And that's not included. That would be an additional
That
add.
is an additional add.
Okay.
All right. Then there's also for pipe networks where we have the pipe network wizards for water, stormwater, and sewer networks. Also the same as roads, directly from a polyline, specify the depth, and it will add in the pipes and structures that you specified.
Brilliant.
You don't have to go and manually place them, insert, split the pipes. It takes your design process from a few hours to a few seconds. very easily. Then DevTech Atlas also has a pipe manager that allows you to analyze your pipe networks, which is very fancy. And I would recommend it if you guys haven't seen it, talk to us. We can come and give you guys a demo on it. It's a good software to use. It has a strong engine. It's using the rational method. The EPOSwim, it's built on the EPOSwim engine, so it's very accurate as well. Right. Then some detailed design for our structural integration. We can use Rivet for that structural integration, even directly from InFocus, where we can start fine-tuning our structural elements. Okay, so just to keep that in mind, what's the workflow going to be from InFocus? You can generate a model through the model builder, do your whole concept design, move over, check some site analysis, make sure you build your bridge according to the elevation sections and lengths as well. And then
we've got a question.
We can
from Julian. Julian says, I'm struggling to take my Revit structural model into InFocus. It loads, but it doesn't appear. What am I doing wrong?
So InFocus is working specifically with geolocation data.
Okay.
Without it, if a Revit model is stuck on the actual center point of Revit, meaning 0, 0, then it's basically going to put it down 0, 0, 0. If we're down here in South Africa, it's not going to work. Is
it easy to fix? So I've spent 6 months designing this building in Revit, and how do I geolocate it properly so I can push it into InFocus?
So Revit has a relocate project.
Okay.
So you need to understand project base points, survey points, and internal origin points. And then based on wherever the model needs to go, you can relocate the project by specifying the coordinates.
Okay, so it's not lost, it's just...
Yeah, there's just another workflow.
Needs a bit more love.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant. So a bit more on that, reach out to us.
Yeah.
In the end, scan the barcode, fill in your information, and we can help you going forward to sort out those issues.
Yeah.
Right. Then some detailed design for the structural integration. After we've done the detailed design in Civil 3D for fine-tuning that road corridors, elevations, etc., we can move over to our Revit where we are going to add bridges, do the fine-tuning of the actual models. We can add reinforcement directly to those bridge elements. If it's concrete bridges, if it's steel bridges, it's going to read that information as well.
Awesome.
Right. Then we can move over to, we have done a session way in the beginning of February where we showcased the collaboration between the different softwares in the structural environment, from Revit, Advanced Steel, and Revit Structural Analysis, to more easily, get that flow running in the whole session, to get your design analyzed and bring it back according to the accurate information.
But just for the sake of time, robot in a nutshell does what?
Analyze the structure.
Okay.
Analysis.
Yeah. So it's where we would sit with the standards and a pen and paper and do the manual calculations to get to the point where we specify the member depth, what type of member we were to use, like, for example, H-beams, I-beams, or what is the concrete requirements, concrete strength, reinforcement, square.
Robot does that for us.
It helps us to do that.
Brilliant.
It gives us recommendations, and then we can fine-tune it accordingly.
Okay.
Right.
We've got another question here from Anonymous. Suppose you're moving from InfraWorks to Civil 3D, and you want to go to Civil 3D to refine it. Let's say you have multiple roads that you graded in InfraWorks, and those grading/profiles taken to Civil 3D when you import from InfraWorks, or do you have to recreate them?
So if on that, so a component road is seen inside Civil 3D as an actual corridor, so it already assigns a basic assembly to it with cut and fill conditions, pavements, all of that stuff. Then if you would model it with a different assembly inside InfraWorks, Civil 3D, and then you take it back into InfraWorks, InFocus has the ability to read the assembly that you assigned inside Civil 3D, and then it will.
Okay, so you don't have to double work.
You don't have to do double work.
Anonymous, I hope that helps. I've got another question here from Corbus. Just to step back in the process for the project, back to estimation for a typical infrastructure project. Think of a maintenance facility for the underground metro network of a major EU city. So let's think of Spain, right? We are busy with a proposal where we have to model the MEP part of this. It includes underground drainage, utility piping and auxiliary equipment, electrical supply, and some gantry type structures. Looking at what you're talking about and what our deliverables are, we will do the work in Revit. But would we then take this information into InfraWorks or Civil 3D to geolocate it?
You can geolocate in Revit itself.
Okay.
Yes. Then you can bring it into, I think that is a very specific question because it's speaking about estimates as well.
And there's a location in mind, there's a
Yes,
city
yeah, in
already.
mind.
Corbus,
Yeah.
touch base with us. There is a QR code that's going to pop up.
Yes.
The clever gentleman on the left of me will definitely be able to assist. Let's just talk it through, see what software you have access to, and from that we can best advise a way forward.
Yeah.
But yes, it's possible. Let's just understand what you have access to, and from there we'll see what workflows are possible.
Yes. Can I just add, what I've seen a lot of people do is look for new software, whereas the software that they have can actually do
A lot more
a
than
lot
what they
more,
think.
yes, and can deliver the outcomes. So before you move to a different software, you actually need to think about the capabilities of the software that you currently have with the outcomes that you have and map that up.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. But
And
we'll
that-
touch base with Corbus afterwards.
And just on what Thabang said as well, and that is why I normally tell clients as well, that is why we are here.
Yeah.
We at Modena, we specialize in this design softwares. We know its capabilities. We know to what extent you can use it to. We understand that you guys working in the actual field doesn't always have the time to do that, to
Yes.
focus on that, because there's projects, there's meetings,
Yeah.
site visits, all of those stuff. So you might go even 3 months without touching base on design softwares, but that is why we are here. That is
Yeah.
why we are here to help you.
Perfect.
100%.
Right.
Awesome.
So a bit more on the collaboration and sharing. So this is where Thabang is going to help us a bit more, but I just want to quickly mention it. InfraWorks allows you to share your design very easily with shared views. Now this can be to one person, for example,
Okay.
and it basically creates like what do they call it again? Browser file that you send a link to someone, and then that person doesn't need actual design software to open the project. They
Okay,
can
so that could be
literally
your
go and-
client that doesn't have a Autodesk license
Yeah.
at all.
Yes,
He can then open up this link and see conceptually what's going on in InfraWorks.
indeed.
Okay.
Or what the initial concept ideas, for example. With regards to that, like I mentioned about the license, if you don't have a license, you can view the shared view.
Yeah.
But if you have a license, you can still view it and you can comment on it, ask questions, create reviews, those sort of stuff.
I have got a question which we will answer, but I'm going to bring it up anyways. Anonymous is asking, how do companies collaborate on JV projects?
JV project.
JV, joint venture.
venture. So if they are on ACC, there is the folder structure actually determines how they collaborate, because there is a function in ACC called bridge.
Yeah.
So people as you would know, if things live on your hub, you are the owner
Yeah.
of that content. And so if you want to share that information, I can bridge my information into your hub
Okay.
whilst it's still on my hub.
But I also think it's quite pertinent to understand any JV has a boss.
Yes.
So you'll have a major stakeholder and a minor stakeholder.
Yes.
So I think a discussion needs to be had in that
Regarding
JV.
that, yes.
Who owns the data? Who owns the project? Who owns what? But essentially everything will live in ACC,
Yes.
and the workflow will be set up.
Yeah, the workflow is what determines the conditions of the JV.
Okay.
Yeah. If
All right.
that-
So Anonymous, ACC will be your collaboration tool. How you collaborate will then be discussed per project. But that typically gets, recorded and delivered in your BIM execution plan.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Hope that helps, Anonymous.
Yeah, and there's that additional information on the screen that you can use to understand where ACC plays that crucial role in this whole, common data environment. How do we collaborate easy, more quicker, all of those stuff.
Perfect.
Right. Then construction, as built and handover. This is where we actually build the project that we are working on. ACC allows for that common data environment. Now, Thabang here to my left is as a professor in this stuff.
We actually call him Prof.
Yeah.
We can almost call him Dr. ACC. So you want maybe...
Yeah, so it actually ties into the question previously about the JV. So your common data environment is set up for multidisciplinary practice as well.
Okay.
Right. So you have your architects, engineers, BIM leads, project managers, client stakeholders, and so forth. As I've mentioned, the folder structure in ACC, that's actually what gives birth to this workflow in terms of sharing of information. And if you have external parties that need to be part of your common data environment, you create a subfolder for that, work in progress sub, with all the disciplines that are external, and then they tie into that folder, right?
And then we're able to track progress.
Yes. 100%. You track progress. So we have something also called BIM Collab Pro. That is your design collaboration and your model coordination. So design collaboration is specifically for your team handling. So you're handling the different disciplines and professionals.
Gotcha.
Model coordination is specifically for your model handling all the different models, clash detection, etc., etc.
I've got a question here, and we might run over time. So if you guys don't mind, we might steal 5 more minutes from everybody just to let us finish. Anonymous again, before going to site, how can I make sure that road layers, utilities, and pipe networks won't clash with each other and that our drawings and models are ready for construction?
It's exactly what I just mentioned.
Okay.
ACC has model coordination, and it's specifically all the disciplines upload their models in their respective folders. It's all separate models. You created a federated model.
Okay.
That federated model brings all the models into one view, and then you can actually clash the models using a clash matrix from the BEP. Then you clash your structure with your mechanical with that clash matrix tells you what to clash with, and then you resolve those clashes before you actually get to site.
Okay, so on your design side, we'll have 53,000 revisions, but when it goes through to construction, we've got one federated model that's been coordinated, clash detections happened. Okay.
100%.
All those issues sorted before we start building.
So we don't have bridges that end up like that.
Yes.
100%.
Okay.
So you would have seen that in the model, like in the detailed design phase even, that something is wrong. And then by the time it gets to handover, all those issues should have been resolved.
Okay, all right. Anonymous, hope that helps. I've got another one here. Is ACC the same as BIM 360? Yes and no.
Yes. Yes and no.
Yes and no.
It's better. So BIM 360 works on the old coding.
Yeah.
And ACC works on the new coding. Are the functions the same? Yes, but it's better on ACC because BIM 360 has been phased out. I think you can touch a little bit on that.
Yeah, so BIM 360 is still around. It is only around for the sole purpose of legacy projects. We understand that some projects aren't over in a year or two. Some of them take 10, 15, 20 years, especially these large infrastructural projects. So for that reason, it is still there. But BIM 360 and ACC are one in the same. What's happened is Autodesk has started investing huge amounts of money into research and development, growing this ACC brand, which had then split off into Docs, Build, Takeoff, Collabora Pro, all offering different functions and features, each catered to a different section of the project lifecycle.
Yeah.
So yes, they are the same, but the ACC is the preferred platform for common data environment.
Yes.
And it makes sense because it's easy to use, it's
user friendly.
And it allows for that, all the parties can have the same information at the exact same time.
Mm.
They can sort out the issues much quicker and, limit those, what you call it, hold-ups during the whole process. And, this fast-paced world that we are actually in, it sorts out all of those issues.
One of our colleagues, Nicole, actually mentioned it this morning. ACC is similar to Uber Eats, and I'm stealing this from her, but I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So Uber Eats, you order a burger from Spur, you pay for it, you see it's getting prepared, who's preparing it, what time the driver is collecting it, you'll see when he collects it, and you can track him on the map to the point where he delivers it at your front door. ACC is the same. It allows us to track progress from X to Y
Exactly.
and allows us to see what happens during that time.
Exactly.
And my question is, and Nikhil's question is, why are we tracking burgers better than we tracking projects? It was fantastic
It's a
question.
fantastic question. Anyway, our time is running a bit
Yeah,
over.
so can we get to the QR code? We will open it up for Q&A.
Just quickly. So we will think, have we reached the limit? Not yet. There is some
Okay.
future stuff that we think might start coming in with regards, existing infrastructure. What is the health of existing infrastructure? And we have this issue in our country where theft is a problem, malicious damage, all of those stuff. But if we can get past that, we can use some softwares, additional add-in softwares that we can literally use to look into the health of our infrastructure. Sensors that we can, for example, look at the stresses in our bridges during the course of time as it is feeling the stresses of nature and vehicles driving over it, etc. InfoWater Pro is there. You can add sensors to your water network and actually see and pinpoint those leaks before you even drive past it and see, oh, there's water spraying out of the ground 30 meters high, and what do we do about it?
I see Tandem's there as well. So Tandem, you can incorporate IoT, Internet of Things sensors, put it on a bridge that its sole purpose is to measure deflection. And if
Indeed.
deflection goes past X amount of mils, that can then be sent as a warning to the managing company.
ArcGIS is there, for example, as well, that you can also try and fine-tune that rainfall data, that flood lines. We have heard now in the past that, in KwaZulu-Natal, all that floodings that they have had, the people that passed away, we can try and limit those scenarios using some additional add-in tools. And all the tools that you see there, except the ChatGPT, the AI one, is basically Autodesk, and the Devitic Iris is basically Autodesk tools.
ChatGPT will be used to help me rewrite this email to my client because their bridges deviated past 30 mils and make it sound not so bad.
No. And then just to basically close this up, smart design to operation. Autodesk has a lot of tools for us to better design, to outperform the competition, and seamless fine-tune everything, do it quicker, more accurate, more efficient at the end of the day.
Perfect.
Right.
And we just get that QR code open so our audience can scan it. We have got the Q&A section open, so if there are any additional questions, some that we may have missed, I do apologize. I did see some questions disappear while I was reading it. Feedback is super important. It's not only about your experience today, but also Corbus had a question around a massive project in Europe. Please fill out the form. Give us some information, let us touch base. We would really, really love to offer some guidance and assistance and see how we can help you guys deliver a better project.
Like I've mentioned it as well, remember, we work with the software every day. You guys not so much every day, maybe like I said, maybe 3 months. So talk to us. If you have issues, we can try and work on solutions.
Yeah.
It might be a bit of a longer workflow, but let us help you generate that information.
Thank you, Julian. I appreciate your kind words, and thanks to everyone that did join us today. Thabang, any closing remarks on your side?
Thank you guys for joining. It was a pleasure, and hope to hear from you soon.
Wonderful. All right, we'll
Fantastic.
leave the QR code up for another minute. It is really quick. Take your phone out, scan it, will take you through to the link. And yeah, we look forward to working with everyone.
Please don't forget about those potjie kos
Yes,
recipes.
please. For those of you who didn't join that are still on, we've got a potjie cook-off next weekend. It is for charity, and I hate losing. So I need recipes because Google is boring. I need Omar's recipe where 3 of those were sugar and 2 anti-clockwise turns make all the difference. Please send those through. I would really appreciate it. Guys, have a blessed day, blessed weekend further. And yeah, hoping that we can collaborate with you all. Jess, thank you for your time. To the team that's not visible behind us, thank you for making sure that the webinar went smoothly. It is our marketing team. They are fantastic. And yeah, we'll touch base on the next one. Ciao.
Cheers.